Ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover tonight. And Carrie has reminded me that we have another meeting starting at 6. And that has a different link, so people are gonna be waiting. So I'm gonna do my very best to make sure that we can end the budget workshop promptly at 6, and I appreciate everyone's help in doing so. All right, so I think tonight we are going through the I have it there in front of you. Hold on, you also have it.
We're gonna do the health center, but do you want to do Emily?
Thank you. Health Center, Public Works, Waste Removal, Recreation, and Provider Agencies.
Do you want to take Emily and do for preschool, since she didn't come last time, but. Or do you want to?
I can.
That's not contributing to our fast.
Because we have a little bit light today, so let's do them since they had their day, and if we have time, then we can grab Emily.
Okay, does that work, Emily?
Sure, sorry I wasn't here last week, I was given the wrong.
Yes, I gave you the wrong information, I admit it.
Sorry, I would have been here.
No worries, we just have a big one today, so hopefully we can get through it and we can do you, and if not, we'll make sure that we schedule a time that works for you and we can get going. Okay. Health Center, so we are on 44-3, page 7, correct?
And that just is going to give you the stipend.
Well, we did 44-1 last time.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. The only question that we had, I guess, was there was some question 35-16 and 35-93, if those were duplicate $10,000 lines.
And they were, so Fred and I talked afterwards and we cleared that up.
Okay, so that's not reflected in the draft 2, but I'm assuming it will be reflected in draft 3.
It's in this draft right here that you have.
I see $10,000 on,
That stays under ferry runs, emergency.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I see,
And up above, we had where it's yellow. There was a question about vehicle operation, that's for the Quicksilver, then it might have been a $10,000 one in there for under dues. But that was supposed to have been $1,000 because he does have dues in the case.
oh, okay, I was thinking it was the $10,000 under mutual aid for Northeast.
Oh, that's something else.
No, that's something
No, I've
else.
got,
Okay.
I've got,
Mutual aid is ambulance pickup on the other side of the ferry.
okay,
So actually is actually separate from emergency ferry trips.
okay,
Right, and we've just paid 7,000 because I think last time we hadn't even paid anything yet, but their bill they only bill every 6 days. So we have 3,000 to go to the end of the year.
sounds good. Looks like nothing for page 8. Page 9, it looks like we're actually starting with public works. Where's the health center budget? Is it separate?
It's separate on that yellow folder.
Got it. All right, health center.
Was that, I'm sorry, is that in the beginning of that?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I picked up everything yesterday.
Oh, yeah, there may be a couple more things in there.
Does anybody want to start with a presentation for the health
I
center?
will just say that I've given you 2 separate packets of information that explain account number 40-1 2514, which is the service contracts. I've broken it. And the next one was it's just information for expenses paid, medical, family leave, FICA, insurance, retirement, telephone accounts, mental health services. That's where I came up with the numbers. It's all individualized. amounts. If there are any questions about that? We just actually finished this yesterday, and it still could be considered tentative. We're working on salaries. And the other thing that we were working on, or I was waiting to hear back, was something about from Azalea. But, so I haven't really got a percentage of what is up from last year unless Brian looks at that and can help. And I know this is the first run around on this, so. We did increase the anticipated revenue from the bottom, back on page 3. And we'll be receiving from the Health Center Endowment $60,000. So currently, that would make the subsidy $1,091,437, and the monthly stipend $90,953. How do you want to, you just want to go down line by line, or?
And the 90,000 stipend, is that's just the annual, that's just the subsidy by month?
By month?
Okay.
Yeah, that's that million, that's that
Right.
budget
That's-
minus the revenues divided up by 12.
All right.
We give you a minute to look at it.
Contracted salaries is up over 100,000.
Mhm.
There is, we're actually still working to iron out the salaries. We're bringing on not a new provider. Chris has been working with Health Center for years now, but we're bringing him on more full-time. And kind of rearranging schedules, responsibilities, and then adjusting pay accordingly. So the contracted salaries number is not really finalized yet. That's gonna come down. This is basically 4 providers at full salary right now, which is not what we're going to be doing going forward.
Okay.
So we're still working on hammering out that number and getting everybody kind of making sure everybody's happy and that the budget is also happy.
I can speak to that. Both Dory and I want to reduce our hours. And we just, and Chris and Owen are gonna stay on full time. So what you're seeing are 2 full-time salaries for Dory and I, but we're not gonna remain full. And we just haven't gotten that figured out yet. And Brian thought it would be a good idea to put in all of the salaries so that we just so that we have wiggle room, because we don't have a final amount yet.
Yep.
And we anticipate someone perhaps will be filling in those spots. I mean, it's not gonna be.
I don't see a need for more than 3 full-time equivalent positions, right? So, Chris and Owen would stay as one, and then Dory and I need to figure out how we can make another full-time equivalent work out of the 2 of us. Does that make sense? And then having funds for a full-time equivalent is important. And our 2 salaries combined, I'm sure you'd be able to find a full-time provider for much less than that. So, you can expect that to probably go back down around 100.
So is that influence that substitute coverage? Because I see that's down.
That's up.
Is that,
Yeah, that's up out of necessity. This year, we've needed to bring in a lot of coverage, kind of to fill gaps in the staffing at the health center. Once we kind of get schedules and responsibilities more ironed out, and Chris is here, but that won't be for several months now. But once that is in place, we actually anticipate substitute coverage to go down.
Okay.
But yes, it is up this year just out of necessity. Yes.
This is Dory. I would like to say we need to look at the overall picture. We've required extra staff this year for a lot of the burden of planning for the new health center, outfitting it and so forth. But also we really need to look at, with flu and COVID still circulating, I think we've all taken times of having to be off for more than a week, requiring more substitute coverage, which we haven't needed as much in the past. But it makes more sense, I think, is to rely a little bit less on per diem substitute coverage that is more expensive and to help bulk up our core staffing that are, well trained and can step in for call. And knowing that the per diem pool out there is with the skill set is very hard to come by.
Oh, so it sounds like those two numbers are a little bit fluid, and at our next budget meeting, maybe we'll have a revised version that is a little bit more
That's the plan.
solid.
All of the non-contracted, like the hourly workers, is the increase in theirs, the 3.25?
Correct.
And the paid family medical leave acts, line 1039, that's of course new this year.
Yeah, we talked about that from the town side.
Yep.
This is the health center side.
Yep.
And it looks like the only other major change is that the mental health, which we
Right.
I'm assuming is expected just because last year we were only covering a certain number of months of
We only
that
budgeted for
program.
6 months.
Yeah.
And now this would be for a full year.
Yes.
And we are going to meet with Dr. Wright next Monday, hopefully, and talk with him and see if there's any other tweaks we can do, but currently, that's what it is.
Yep.
And under under utilities, there's one new Central Maine Power. That is because the health center will have its own power bill. It's always been under this building. So that was another new addition.
I just wanna chime into that too, that now that once the buildings are separated, when we do that annual cost report at the end of the year, which explains to CMS, the Centers for Medicare, Medicaid Services, we report how much it costs to deliver care every year, and then they come up with a number to reimburse us for care. It's a simplified version of that. I'm told by our consultant that it's been really hard to quantify the cost of the health center because it's been in the same building. And so we will hopefully be able to show that cost of those operational costs a little more clearly, and that may benefit us with increasing our reimbursement rate the way it has over the past couple of years with some other changes we've made.
But the supervising doc is down quite a bit.
We have one now.
Okay.
And the requirements for the supervising doctor are much less than they used to be, so Dr. Yetman's involvement is subsequently less just because it's not necessary, so. But yeah, he agreed to that reduced rate. Or I guess more correctly, he's keeping his same rate, we just have one supervising position.
And Dr. Kramer has done, I think, for the supervising part, I believe it was February, we paid her last stipend, so.
Fred?
I was just confused, are we creating 4 full-time positions or just 3?
Oh, there's just 3 full-time positions.
Okay.
The budget right now reflects 4 full-time positions because we have not worked out yet what the change is gonna look like, but it will be some kind of version of half-time, overtime, something like that, 3/4 time. I want to reduce my hours, Dory wants to reduce her hours, and Chris Bates Withers is an amazing provider that we wanted to lock in while we could. And so, we made that decision because he's gonna bring so much to the island, he already has. And Dory and I just haven't, she's chiming in now, thank you, but she's been out of, town and I've been out of town or sick or,
That number could go down.
it will.
It will go down,
It
yeah.
most definitely will go
That's why I
down.
just, I.
Yeah. Yes, it should not, that number will definitely go down.
Yeah, I didn't want to put this off another week.
Yeah, that's
I'm not gonna be
I
here
just
next
hadn't
week,
heard about
so
it.
I wanted to.
That's because we're all still figuring it out. Nobody would have heard about it if it wasn't a budget meeting right now.
Do we? No, go ahead. Do we know if the community foundation is still doing anything with the mental health?
They're not. It's been turned over to
Completely
us.
I was done. They did through January.
January.
And I will say, when we agreed to take that on for this partial year, we were the consultant that we used expected the mental health providers to be credentialed with the insurance payers, and that means that they just had all their paperwork in order so that the insurance could pay for the services. And we took over billing and incurred the cost with that to bill for those providers. It has not offset at all what was expected. And we're still working on credentialing, which turned out to be a painstakingly slow process. So I just want to say we're talking and evaluating whether or not we can continue at this amount. I mean, for that line item for 75,000 a year, you could have a full-time mental health provider if you wanted to do that. And right now we have two days a week with people and they're not fully credentialed. So we're gonna figure something out there. But that's what it is. The community fund has been supporting it at 100%. And then we took over for part of the year and now they're not. So we've got to
And we've
figure out.
covered travel, ferry tickets. That's what our part has been all along.
I will also say that it's been.
So the $50,000 that we've already paid is only for ferry tickets for them to come and go?
With $50,000 that we already paid.
Under 25-65, it says year to date, we've already paid out $50,000.
Line item 31, first
Oh.
page.
No, that is the mental health. That's what we have paid out there, and the community fund is reimbursing us,
Partially.
which, well, mostly.
Yeah, for half the area.
So we budgeted 31,000, you see that, 'cause based on what we expected the insurance to reimburse us. And for months of appointments, we've been reimbursed a couple thousand. So the
By
real,
insurance.
from insurance, yes. So the real issue, and the community fund has picked up a lot of that, but as of February 1st, they stopped picking it up.
Right.
So we're picking it up now, and it's costing a lot more than was budgeted because we're not getting reimbursed. So the long-term sustainability at this point is on all of our minds. I just want to assure you of that, and we're trying to find a way to still offer mental health services in a way that we can sustain it. It is, I will say it's so important. We've noticed an enormous difference. It's changed some lives and so mental health services on the island and collaborative mental health services with the health center is so very important. I also recognize that this price tag for 2 days a week is not sustainable.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially like what you were saying is that you could potentially find a full-time one that even if we did 4 days a week has a lower cost for it. And then they'd have more accessibility and more people.
Yeah,
Sure.
we're gonna brainstorm a lot and we'll talk to Dr. Wright, who's amazing, and I hope we can maintain that. And Emily Davis, who's the other provider, is working with us on reducing her cost and she doesn't charge for missed appointments, and we're also continuing to work with the insurance companies to get paid.
So it sounds like that line, the substitute coverage and the contracted salaries are all going, in flux that are likely to change. between now and the next version of the budget.
Yeah.
On the revenue side, what did we budget for revenue this year? I just don't have that comparative.
70 is what we were expecting.
170.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, and we had this discussion, yesterday when we met with the health center, and I ran the revenue numbers for the past couple of years. Fiscal year 2024, revenue was actually at 216,000. Revenue for the health center so far this year is actually at 260,000. So the health center is doing a good job in continuing to get credentialed, to recover money where we can. To help kind of offset some of those costs, and they're still working on it, so.
Great. All right, any other questions for health center? Thank you very much. All right, we will move through.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you. The budget now in, we're starting on page 9 with Public Works.
Because there's nothing that, we're not budgeting any money for the community action grant or the coastal grant.
Correct.
Okay. Everybody knows that you're gonna be.
Yeah, sure, there's amazing.
All right. Janet, do you want to walk through Public Works or?
So. The big items, which are, we had this last year, the maintenance, 75,000, shoulder work and ditching, 75. Keeping storm damage at 50, and summer gravel, 50, that's a constant. I'm putting in, under paving, this year, 300,000. Some of this line will be used for, have to do another stabilization project at the end of Billy Shore. It's not as big or as elaborate as these other two. It's a lower height. So I don't expect it to be as expensive. But that has to happen. And personnel is just the increase, the cost of living. There's supplies. Equipment repairs, we've bought a lot of replacement, it seems like, equipment. This year. And vehicle operation, as vehicles get older.
It would be helpful, I think, to understand of the, just to be running, and we can do this now, or we can do it when, we get to capital reserves too, but just to understand of some of the East Shore Drive project, I believe was covered under the capital reserves or undesignated, or,
It came out of the paving, well, we call it road construction, but it mostly came out of that.
okay, but I feel like understanding where those different projects came from, because it looks like right now we're under in several of the maintenance and shoulder work, and just
It
thinking
just haven't
about,
happened yet.
right, I'm just thinking if there are, if it looks like we may end up with additional funds this year, maybe we could pay additional folks to do some of the roadside. Yeah. Just kind of understanding where we project we're going to land this year, I think would be helpful.
Yep, most of the road repair is gonna start happening in spring. So we just haven't come across those expenses yet, which is why they're not in here as of for the year-to-date expenses.
Questions?
Any idea how much we spent on outside contractors in the past year or so? The amount of money we spent on outside contractors to assist Public Works in the past year or two?
I don't, I mean, I can look up, I mean, there's a bunch, it's mostly Peter Coombs, and
Oh, yeah.
trying to think of something like that, road work that Public Works can't do.
Paid for plowing.
Right,
Well, that's
so
not really something that they do. Public Works doesn't do.
is it worth even considering the possibility of trying to get us some equipment to help these guys do their job? I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, I mean, if we're, it seems like that's gonna get really expensive really fast, we keep calling people in to do, you know. 2-day jobs.
I saw it too.
I know, and I think I'd have to have a third person, because I would think I couldn't get Jordy out of a piece of equipment if he got it, because I know he would love it. And that would be great, you know, he would do a lot,
Yeah.
probably, but,
He would
We've
live in
never
that
seen him.
excavator if we got him an excavator.
oh my God, excavator.
Right.
But, yeah, I will come up with, because it's like Peter Coombs, but that's big stuff. Throwing stones, we've had Silas do some smaller things, but
And then it's
it's
all
needed
stuff
equipment.
Jordy could do if he had even a small piece of equipment, or.
Then you have to have a trailer to tow it around, he has to have. I mean, it is,
No, I mean, I understand that it comes with, it's not as simple as just like buying a tractor, you know, you also need a trailer, you also need, you know. I get it, I just don't. We spend a lot of money on our public works department, and we continue to spend a lot of money outside of it. To pick up the slack, if we're gonna keep spending money outside, of it, we might as well spend money on it itself. It would seem to me.
I mean, I can
But-
check out a price of a, but I'd have
I mean,
to,
even like pre-owned, we talked to Jordy about it, see what is realistic for him that he could actually use, or Jeff maybe can get involved, it could be a. Use the dump and public works perhaps, or.
They got that skid steer already, but not sure how handy
Yeah.
Jordy would find that.
I mean, I know they would like something to push down the demo more so than that.
A
But
couple
skid
works,
steer's not that great.
no. I don't know, I just thought I'd like to look at doing this as a possible second avenue for these back funds. Could be wise to start putting back into an account to save it away,
All right,
moves in a couple of years.
piece of equipment, all right, I will talk with, because he may have a trailer that's something, but it may not be beefed up, he's got a big trailer. That's a piece of equipment. I'll see what they could get by with,
Like,
I like what
Like,
Silas has, I
I
mean,
think
that's
it was
pretty
small.
versatile,
I didn't go the one step smaller than what he got.
small.
Any other questions on Public Works?
On to snow removal. And that's just Dave's contract and the winter salt, sand. Winter sand, winter salt, 700 acre, which I've just received a bill from 700 acre. It didn't come on this, wasn't here back when I originally did this printout, and I know we've paid them.
Yeah, it's in the warrant, right?
It's in the warrant, I know, 3 or 4 thousand, $5,000
It's closer, I think it's closer to 5.
closer to 5,
Yeah.
so that's why I bumped this up to, I didn't know where it would be, but their prices are, we have no choice to use them. Any questions about snow removal? Hearing none, move on. Public Works, Building Repair and Maintenance. The first one here, and this is something that can be, you all can decide how much, but it's for the new health center. Conceivably, it shouldn't need anything done to it the first year, but I'm not sure what will go on there. So I mean, I plugged in there 20, but
Gotta look at what the, comes with a warranty, I'm sure, for a certain period.
probably for a year.
Yeah, thanks.
And I don't have any of that information. I don't know what they have for heating system or
Probably covers, so.
a lot of them do,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm certainly fine with whatever you think this could be, so I'm not locked into that. Everything else is pretty much Last year, the libraries was high because we need to get the foundation work done. Trying to get Jim Nelson to commit to doing that. That hasn't happened, that's. But, we have that money. Town office, airport, I'm going to, if you approve this or if it gets, passed. I've got I got $25,000 now in the account to do the striping of the lines. Sealing the cracks on the runway. And it was close to 50,000, so that's just the balance of that.
Who did that?
Who did the,
Right.
it hasn't been done yet,
Oh, okay.
hasn't been done, it was 50,000, I thought last year I only had budgeted 25. The price had changed over a couple of years. But I'm gonna put it out to bid, so hopefully it will be less than that. Town Beach, the tennis court, the repair, the backboard needs to be repaired. Where that practice court is. Insurance wants that repaired. That's a very lot. I did not budget for this, but the pulpit needs to be repaired. We did have a quick repair done by Tatro. Yeah, give his name off the top of my head. Avery, he did because there were stones that had fallen out after that big storm. He was thinking it needed a whole $20,000 repair, rebuild, but I haven't gotten anybody else to go there and look at that and determine if that really is necessary.
So did we ever do anything with the soccer field?
All we do down there is what.
Cause I know that
Zach,
we put it in for 15,000 or whatever. It was last 16,1,
yeah,
but do we need to keep it again for
yes,
another year?
yes.
Yeah.
And we do have money, I think, let's see.
Cause we shouldn't have to regrade and refill and everything every year, do we?
I
It's
thought it
not
was,
regrading and refilling, it's like an aerating and,
Yeah.
Overseeding and
yeah,
everything else.
standing, it's basically like a maintenance schedule.
Gotcha.
yeah,
We haven't done the major drainage issue, this is,
I thought they were proving 15,000 was for, it was the drainage this year.
it was for these kind of maintenance things that hadn't been done, so it's making an improvement. That's not digging up and adding lots more. So,
but that's included in that, where it says repair backboard, that
Yeah.
18.5. I'm thinking it might be a couple thousand for backboard. But there should be money in there to do the annual field maintenance.
okay, anything else on, any other questions on building repair and maintenance? All right, Public Works Energy Committee.
And I know Bill Thomas is here.
Yes.
I've heard of her, if she's online.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have in your packet, you should have,
Yep.
what she sent.
Well, yeah.
Really simple, unless you have questions.
Do you want to give us an overview while we go through it?
You want us to go through it?
Yeah, we just received the memo, so, if you wanna give us a quick summary, then we're happy to hear it. and
Okay.
at least-
Well, so the secretarial support is straightforward. That covers our minutes and so on. We applied for, along with the community center, in Islesboro, the Island Trust program, fellow program, and had that application has been accepted. And that will be shared with the community center. Our share of the cost, the total cost, I think that we have to pay would be 15,000 and ours would be split with the community center, and the fellow will be jointly supervised by Janice Petzel and Candace Povey. And would be working on both, our programs, and also the community center is interested in some educational programs that would go well together. I'll come back to the firehouse community outreach. We hope to do another community event, perhaps more than one, just to educate the community about the things we were doing. The money covers, if we have to rent the room, and any food that we present. And the town center firehouse improvements, and Bill chime in. Bill has been the point person on this project. We have in this year's budget, we have some money that was originally designated as for insulation of the firehouse. Now, as we sort of started to look at it, we sort of did a kind of a broader assessment of the needs of the fire station from an energy standpoint. And we did an energy audit. Now, a few years ago, before I got involved, when we looked at the fire station used less oil than other town buildings, including the town offices and the library. But as we have done so we focused on those buildings first, but now the amount of fuel consumed by the fire station is something that we've been looking at. We've also been looking at did an energy audit, and the auditor felt like it was not necessary to put in more insulation in the ceiling. There are a couple of unique things that are going on in the firehouse. One is, that the doors open, of course, when the vehicles go out, and a lot of heat is lost. But then when they come back in, it's critical to be able to reheat the building quickly, because they want, any ice and snow on the vehicles to melt. They want to protect the equipment, the water tanks, and all of that from freezing. So that's been one of their major concerns. Generator, which serves the firehouse and the town office, is in the building in the back in a room, and because of the ventilation required when it's not running, there's a great deal of heat loss through that room. And so that was one of their concerns. And as we have talked it over, it seemed like the most sensible thing to do would be to move the generator outside. It's a safer location for it to be. And rather than trying to improve the room itself that it's sitting in, and then they would have a little bit more space that they could use for storage inside. And we also talked about the heating system, and what we have proposed is to add heat pumps to the fire station, and but as a complement to the oil heater would still be there. The heat pumps would be designed to cover the entire heat of the building, but the oil heater heats faster. It's more powerful in the blast. So when those doors are open and they need the heat to come back quickly, that would still be there. And that's something that's very important to them. The other thing that they have requested was to position the heat pumps in a way that would provide additional heat over the ambulance bays, again, because they want to be able to reheat those vehicles quickly because of the equipment and things that are stored there that they don't want to freeze. And so we have, and they also had requested that if we could get a service contract available on those things. Now, one of the,
Harriet,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to stop you. We are kind of pressed for time.
Oh, okay. So
this all good, and I really.
So anyways, so just one other point of explanation. So anyways, that all comes to about $25,000 for the heat pumps. The we have to juggle things around a little bit. We have money in this year's budget because there's an opportunity to get pretty substantial rebates on the heat pumps. We have to make that decision the end of March. So we might use some of this year's money for that and do some of the rest of it that we were talking about, the moving the generator and so on next year.
Perfect. And so you can do everything with the $40,000, and I really appreciate the fact that you're taking the town's budget into consideration and not asking for any excessive money.
Yes, I think,
Thank
yes,
you very much for that.
we, obviously there's always, unknowns sometimes in the cost of things, but yes, we think that's a reasonable amount.
Awesome. Thank
Be
you
looking
so
for
much.
Volunteers.
Perfect.
Any
Thank
other
you, Bill and
questions
Harriet.
For energy. All right, waste removal. Looks like that is same as last year.
Transfer station should just,
Just the cost of living,
living.
okay? By Pine Tree Waste, we're expecting a slight increase.
Yeah, I bumped that up 10.
Okay. Any questions on waste removal? All right, recreation, library first. Looks like that's just cost of living.
I think that's just cost of living. She didn't change much.
Okay. Looks like utilities is going down. Graph 2, we're on page 12 now.
Okay.
Yeah. And looks like operating expenses also is down just a little bit. Great. Any questions on library? All right, museum.
Ken is here. From museum? Is he? Museum?
Museum, oh, that quick?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before he starts, we still have, under museum, you have the 36 for the fellow. And the museum's not gonna have a fellow this year. Under 47-2. I just didn't know if that part had been added into that or not.
Think so, but we'll check with
Okay.
Ken, because they were increasing the hours for the post.
Yes.
And just make sure I have the right amount down there. Yeah, no, I see.
Okay, basically, what we'd like to do is, be open 3 months for the, museum attendance, which means we would open July 1st through September. Weather permitting, if it's bad weather, we won't, stuff like that. We'd like to be able to wind up some of the work that we're doing sensibly. We've got the restorations of the museum and the annex, the old museum. And we can do, we believe, we can do the annex in this year's budget. So what we're asking for next year's budget is to do the museum. And we have a couple of estimates. We're still working on that. We'll put the highest one in there. And that would, what that will do is complete the restoration requirements, except for the fuel house. And if we did that, we would do that through grants.
Great. Questions for Ken?
Ken, were you going to have a fellow? A fellow?
No,
No, okay.
no,
I thought that was on yours.
No, that's,
No, I know that, that was on, I think on his, budget.
So you'll just check and make sure that the hours add up to what we need and not what we need plus $3,600.
Yeah,
Harbor facilities, it looks like that is flatline from last year's budget.
Harbor, no changes, except we did,
Right?
different budget.
Well, what we budgeted for is a normal year, not for storms. We have some money in the contingency to take care of some things. We'd like to add another 30,000 to the contingency. We have two major issues in front of us. One is, to repair the pier at, Grimmer Point, and the other one at Seal Harbor. Both of them need work. So this year, we're trying to get estimates, engineering estimates to do that. And the work that we would do on the big pier would be excessive, so we would go after grants to accomplish that. As far as fixing up the Seal Harbor, that's something that, we're probably gonna try to do it best we can if we can get grants for it. But that would be it. So we have just a regular budget, and when we aren't budgeting for storms.
So I guess a question is, I mean, rather than putting $30,000 in contingency, because I think in the past we've tried to avoid having lots of contingency lines in each budget, but does it make sense to put 30, it sounds like, so you're requesting $30,000 for capital improvements that maybe that we
In
can
capital reserve.
bring that up in capital reserves to put $30,000 aside there for Brindle Point.
Basically floats and incomes,
Yeah, probably.
which are the things that break
Yeah,
up.
to a dedicated line.
Well, I would say put it budgeted capital reserves, and then when the work happens, then we'll have the money to do it. Can you make a note that we'll add that at a line for $30,000 to discuss?
It's already in capital reserve.
Excellent.
Yeah, it can, yeah, I can't remember, well, anyway, it's in there, the 30,000 in capital reserve.
For a new request this year.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, because Earl, I talked to Earl too about the dock and.
Great. Any other questions on Harbor? Thank you, Ken. Shellfish, same as last year. Recreation. Now we're having fun.
I'm getting more. The camp is fun. And that's the majority of the money that we're asking for. To supplement an extra input campers, and we need one extra staff member. And then we also budgeted for the space, since we've been using the community center. And then a slight bump in the director's salary as well. And that's why it is 13,000 more than last year's ask. We realize that we didn't use all of the money budgeted for the consultants, and that is because there wasn't the staff that we would have liked, and we're gonna try and make that change and get all the staff that will make it like full functioning.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So salary is now the director and the assistant and everybody? Because otherwise there's not a line for summer rec director and assistants.
That's in the consultant. I think. But we're not.
Next page, kind of adventure camp,
Okay, so the consultants are the counselors.
yes,
Yes.
Okay,
not just the way they phrased it.
And it looks like revenue, you're projecting to have 25,700. What was it last year?
It was 14.6 last year. I believe.
Yeah, I thought it was more, but we can,
Good, we, I think we're just being conservative with our numbers, but,
Well, if the revenue projections is up as much as the expense projections, then the net is gonna be.
I think it was closer. What did you say?
Same.
18 something, 1870.
I didn't keep track of it. This is my first year and I didn't know.
Oh, we keep track of it.
Yeah, okay.
That's-
So the number you have is the right one.
Well, let's.
And our projection is because we are pretty sure for this year's revenue is because we know for sure there are 7 new campers coming in
Oh,
at least. And all of the ones that came last year are returning. So,
And you guys are doing a new preschool group too?
that's the new,
That's the 7 new? Okay.
Yeah.
And then. I don't know, do you have any more questions?
what about
I was
the
just
adult?
gonna say, it does look like we have here $60,000 in expenses and then it was 14.6 in revenue. So the net is about $2,000 difference.
Is that the one that,
It looks like Lauren.
yes, I have, that's the one I have, so we guesstimated.
Okay.
So they're managed numbers.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, that's cool. If the anticipated for the next year is 25.
Colleen, you had a line in the, for Cricket Riding.
I'm trying to get a grant for it and, otherwise.
That's gonna be my next question was if you thought about like grants or getting donations from
We,
owner of a program or.
yeah,
They offer scholarships to attendants to Florida, and we could probably help send this to camp here.
they're already gave us a huge discount, but the scholarship is the offers are in the registration and.
Any other questions on recreation? How many campers are you said 7 more, how many total do you think they'll have? Ish,
I think. Conservatively, I would say 19. And.
great. Provider agencies. These are all folks who have made a formal request of us.
Correct, yeah, and they all have, helped out. Look into them, to help out.
Any questions on outreach worker? All right, we've got 5 minutes left, so I would propose we start with, we go back to
Oh.
preschool. And what I maybe would suggest is hopefully we'll get as far as we can at 6. We will transfer for everyone online, we will transfer to the select board Zoom link. But we'll finish with the preschool, so that you guys don't have to come back. You've been very patient. I appreciate you waiting this whole time. And that way we can get through it and then we'll get right to the select board agenda. So preschool is on page 4.
I brought handouts. Of guide conversations, but it's good that we're kind of presenting back and back with rec as well, since there's. Bit of transfer of activity happening. So yeah, our budget accounts for the 6 or 7 kids who are graduating, moving from the preschool to rec for the summer. But happy to just kind of go through this and you guys answer us questions. But our request is increasing this year from 129,000 and change to 144,000 for 3 reasons. You know, we're budgeting to require a minimum of the same number of staff as 2024. While we do have 6 pre-K kids graduating, we roughly have the same amount of new babies being born on the island and coming down the pipeline. And I'm like hearing about another one, I feel like every single month. So this is like at minimum it's 6, but I've recently heard there's another, so it might be more than that. And obviously we're not budgeting or projecting that they're all gonna start at the preschool at the same time. So we're trying to be pretty conservative about what we are budgeting for. But, you know, we are required to have a much higher student to teacher ratio for infants. So even if about half of them enroll, as they reach that 3-month period, we'll need to have the same number of staff. We're also losing our student intern who's been essentially a free pair of hands for us for 2.5 days a week since 2019. It's very sad for us. We love her. But we're gonna probably need to replace her with some paid part-time help, which is our reality. And we are looking to give our staff raises this year. It's been a while since we've done that, over 2 years, but more significantly, we've discovered that we're now falling significantly under industry averages for preschool teachers in our area. And we very much need to be able to retain our staff by paying them closer to market rate, but also fill our open positions. So this is coming off the back of research done just online, but also pouring through open job descriptions and stuff in our area. Have identified that, you know, compensation ranges are around $20 an hour for a 40-hour week, which is around $38,400 annually. And a lot of these schools are also offering full healthcare, dental care, and PTO, which is very competitive. You know, our compensation ranges are $33,500. And we do have that healthcare stipends that we offer, as well as PTO, but there is a bit of a difference there from what we've identified. Down to sort of enrollment and staffing, you know, definitely like the pre-K numbers are looking smaller, but we've got much heavier infant and toddler classes. Relatively similar numbers looking for both summer and fall. The ratio requirements that we are required to maintain are 1-4 for infant toddler, 1-7 for pre-K. So the staff required to meet those ratios is kind of outlined below, you know, executive director, pre-K lead, toddler lead, infant lead, and then a float for 3/4 of the time, realizing that not every student is there every single day. So the budget request breakdown is as follows: staffing costs, $116,325. This bump reflects the subsidy from last year, which was $106 and change, adjusted for the 10% raises. And then the health insurance, you know, going from $6,000 to $7,000 for our 4 full-time employees, which brings it to a total of $144,325. And yes, just a reminder, this budget does account for the existing 6-7 pre-K kids. Well, we have 6 pre-K kids now, but there's budgeted to be, or forecasted to be, around 7+. Moving to Adventure Camp this summer. This was something that parents unanimously voted in favor for. Adventure Camp Rec Department has put into their budget. But if that doesn't pass through, then we will need extra to subsidize another summer hire to meet our ratios. Our hourly wage is slightly higher than that of Adventure Camp, so it would, I guess, in total cost all of us collectively more to have them at free school than Adventure Camp. And again, this was something that the parents unanimously voted in favor for. So just other notes around our budget, our total projections, staffing budget is $250,000. So at 144, the town would be covering roughly 58% of our staffing costs. I think our total budget is around 30 to 40,000. More than that, it is mostly staffing. But some of our, you know, costs are going up, and we're going to need to put a new fence around the preschool because there's holes in it and kids. My son has escaped. And also just other notable things that we've really been doing to be, you know, cost savvy. You know, our tuition did go up. I know we discussed that last year, that was something that we were looking to do. We did a 10% raise on our tuition, and we also restructured our summer tuition, you know, realizing that it's more of a burden on the school to take on students for like a week or 2 weeks here. So we put in a tiered system. So the shorter period of time that they're with us over the summer, the higher their tuition is. But if they come in for the whole summer, it's low. So we're really catering to, you know, our local families and keeping costs affordable for them. You know, our fundraising committee, not a huge jump from previous year, but still, kind of hovering around what our goal is. Raised 23,000 compared to 20,000 in the previous year. IPS and ICS are working to assemble a task force to investigate moving the pre-K kids over to ICS as a more affordable and sustainable solution. This is something that our board looked into, their board looked into, and we've all agreed that we want to come to the table and talk about that as an option. It's probably going to be a year-long process, really looking into all the nuts and bolts of moving a much younger age group to the big school.
I'm sorry, can I just, because you've only been here.
Sure.
Tell me, where is the program today? It's at the preschool, right?
Yeah.
And you're looking to move it over to the community center?
No, sorry, the big school.
Central school. Got it.
Yeah.
Which, isn't that now state law?
There's a lot,
And it
yes.
has to be in place by 2026.
It's that they assume costs for additional services for students ages 3 and older. So they don't necessarily need to be located in the big school. It would make it more convenient for them, but the big school would be required to provide those services like CDS and speech and all of that for them. So it'd just be easier if they were already there to deal with that rather than trying to.
Right. No, I thought the last one that just got passed in 23 gave the towns 3 years to, because now it is the public preschool safety or public preschool education bill that you have to provide free public preschool. And that, so you couldn't charge for it.
I haven't been to that.
Well, meaning they'd be at the big school.
Yeah.
What ages?
What for? Any, late 3, 4-year-olds and then 5-year-olds that didn't make the cutoff.
I think it's 3, like under 4 if they have special needs, and then over 4. But I mean, we voted on this, I think like 5 months ago or something, so we're starting to have our first formal meetings on it, so I'm sure I'll be up to date relatively soon on sort of where the mandate is, but we are looking into that proactively, as a more sustainable solution for the school, both schools really. And then, as we all know, that we've worked with the rec committee to move the graduating 5-year-olds to adventure camp. Doesn't really make sense for them to graduate and then stay with us for another 8 weeks. And it's a great opportunity for them to, get to know some of the kids at the older school and something that parents were in favor of, so.
So 2 questions. First one being with, if you're sending the pre-K to the rec program this summer, that would drop your enrollment down to 8. Is that correct? Because you're showing 10 in summertime right now, or 12?
We'd have 8 kids in pre-K.
In the summer?
Yeah,
If we
6,
kept them.
7, 8, so yeah, 6 and 2.
So your enrollment projection here is already taking into account losing.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
This might be a tough question to answer, without math in front of you. Your compensation average is 33.5 in salary. Do you know the value of the entire compensation package? Like your PTO, you advertise something like 50 days of PTO.
That's including the school breaks that everyone
But
gets.
but that is not factored into the 33.5.
It is. I have to double check it, but our salary reflects those PTO days. So that just covers all of it. So we just get paid our base every single month, no matter what. And then once you exceed the available PTO days, we prorate your salary.
Any other questions?
feel free to reach out,
Well, I don't want to contact because the way it's written here, it says 33.5 in annual salary plus healthcare stipend and PTO. So I wasn't sure if those are separate numbers or together. And my follow-up.
yeah, that's the salary plus the healthcare subsidy. I'm just sort of giving an overview of the full package. So we offer salary, healthcare stipends, and we also have PTO. Whereas other schools are similarly offering PTO, healthcare, dental care, like full healthcare and full dental care. And we're seeing salaries ranging from 19 to 23 an hour.
How many staff do you have on right now? from everybody.
We have had 4 full-time staff up until December where we lost one of our full-time staff. So we've got
You have 3.
3 full-time staff and a Frankenstein schedule of a lot of wonderful volunteers who've been kind of making up another 1.4 full-time employees.
Important to note as well, with the 3 full-time employees, one of them is me. So I'm not in the classroom contributing towards Rishigo. I'm in my office doing all the work, so we only technically have 2 full-time teachers there. And we have 3 classrooms right now, so. The Frankenstein mishmax makes up the other full-time person to fill in for that.
So the 250,000 is for, well, hopefully for 4 people,
Is for 4.4 full-time, or, yeah,
and you're doing it now with 2.
well, no, 3,
Well,
because
3.
you're in that staff,
Yeah.
and that breakdown.
And then the Franken
executive
mishmash
director.
of substitutes.
And then a 10% raise for the 4 employees, well, 3 plus hopefully 1. You wanna say anything to that?
I mean, it's like largely just to bring our compensation packages to be more competitive based on what we're seeing in the market for other teachers. You know, we really need to retain the staff that we have. You know, we really, our retention rate is significantly, you know, has been good compared to industry averages, but it's really been a lot of teachers just going above and beyond and being very mission driven and focused, you know. We're probably gonna need to find somebody off island who's willing to commute here and take a position. You know, we've exhausted, you know, resources on the island. There's only so many people who could potentially or want to be a preschool teacher, and we've, you know, been advertising, and we've got a lot of people working part-time for us, but in terms of filling these other full-time positions, we've been able to find one person who's coming over 2 days a week from the Belfast area, so it can be done. But in order to do that, you know, we need to be paying closer to market rate, you know.
Right. My last question that I had was that we had requested your guys' financials to see kind of where, because you guys are a 501c, right? I wasn't able to find it on the website.
Okay.
Which, like from either previous board meetings or anything like that, to see what your expenditures are every year.
Yeah, I can
Happy
send
to
that
send
over.
that around.
Yeah, I'll do that when I get back. Yeah, absolutely.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just a comment from Lauren. We all know how important it is to support the preschools especially on our island, to, you know, allow our parents to continue to work and take care of their kids. I mean, this is one of the biggest issues. I appreciate Melissa. We did already have it, but it was great that she sent the report from the commission to study expansion of public preschools. This is high on everybody's agenda nationally. It's one of the most important things we can do is to support our preschools. So I just wanted to add that comment.
How many board members do you guys have?
We've got 9 or 10. We've got a lot of people rotate off the board. Their terms up, so we're working on filling those.
Gotcha. Lauren, are you still on the board for the preschool?
I am not.
No?
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate you coming in
Yeah.
and providing more information. It's great. Sorry about the miscommunication
Oh, no.
last week. All right, we will transition to our select board meeting, maybe just like a 3-minute bio break, and then we will be back. How about promptly at 6:15? Promptly.
Lauren, we're switching to the other link now.
All right, thank you.
Oh.